Hello everybody and welcome back to Screen Stars. Galaxy of Horrors is another anthology movie now, and it's by Little Terrors. Now, up until a few days ago I'd never heard of Little Terrors, but I saw a really quite good anthology movie made by Little Terrors and reviewed it just a few days ago, minutes past midnight, and then lo and behold, I find this one, which is by Little Terrors, which was released earlier this year. But the twist to this one is this is sci-fi horror anthology stories. So with this one, what you get is 8 stories, as you can see there, and the theme of all these is essentially sci-fi and horror. And well, I think this is quite a good anthology movie. I don't think it's just up to the standard of Minutes Past Midnight, which is the one I've just reviewed recently. But it is certainly quite a good quality one, this. And we'll go through some of the stories and I'll give you a brief description of them, but I won't give any spoilers. Now, also the difference between this one and Minutes Past Midnight is there is a thread that holds this story together. Essentially, there's a guy in like a cryo chamber on a spaceship, and he wakes up, or he's woken up, and it will not let him out of the cryo chamber until it gives him the password. Until he gives the password, but he doesn't know what the password is. He's not a clue, and until he keeps giving wrong answers, and to keep him entertained, the system plays these videos, short video clips, to keep him entertained. Which increasingly frustrating because he just wants to get out of the cryo chamber. So that's the thread that holds the stories together. After each story you get another brief clip of this, him trying to recall the password. So the first story that we get is called Eden, and this is like a kind of like a dystopian future. The air is poisoned, the government's in tatters, there's like a rebellion, and they're quite happy to blow themselves up to get to the government, and they're experimenting on humans and turning them into something else. Quite a decent start here, this story. They get almost felt a little bit like Fallout, a little bit, this story, but it wasn't bad at all. The second story we get is a story called Iris, which is about a phone that has achieved consciousness almost, and the twist here is if you switch the words around with Iris, you get Siri, and that's what they're riffing on here. Is, you know, when you're asking Siri all these questions, well, on this they've taken it another step further, and this phone can see everything you do, and it hears everything that you do. And there's a guy, he's trying to bury a dead body, and it's not just going to plan. And this might be something to do with Iris. Third one is Flesh Computer. The clue's in the title there, Flesh Computer. I wasn't particularly impressed with this one. It felt a bit cheaply made, and it didn't really do it for me, this one at all, really. But it's not terrible, but it just didn't work. Pathos is a Spanish, I think it's Spanish language, foreign language tale, this one, and this was again one that didn't particularly impress me. It was almost like there was like a guy in the future, and it looks like humans are like packed in these chambers, and you've got to like put these codes onto this computer while you're connected to this thing, and if you put the wrong code in, you're punished. And it just doesn't make an awful lot of sense to me, even though some of the imagery was very interesting. Eveless is the next story, and this was essentially, the clue's in the title again there, and I'm guessing there's no women left, so the job of having babies is then passed to men. So that's Eveless. It was okay, but it didn't go on for long enough. They Will All Die in Space, I thought was quite a good one. This was in black and white, but this was a full-on sci-fi one where this crew of the spaceship wakes somebody up from cryo sleep because they need help making some repairs on the spaceship, but all is not what it seems. Quite an effective tale, this one. I quite enjoyed it. Entity was another full-on sci-fi one, and this was a bit like Gravity almost. There's an explosion, as he's out in space, and there's a woman astronaut is left adrift in space, can't contact anybody, and just is floating out into the middle of nowhere and makes some kind of discovery. It was an okay story, this one, but the ending was a bit like, what? Didn't get it so much. And then we have Kings, the final tale, which was a German foreign language tale, and I quite like this one as well. It was almost like a invasion of the body snatchers type thing, like a drug deal, but the people they're making the drug deal with aren't what they seem. I thought they were vampires initially, but they're not. They're kind of like alien-y type things. Quite a good, effective tale. I thought the acting wasn't brilliant in this one, but it was a good idea, fairly well executed. And then the whole thing finishes with the story at the beginning that I told you. It's all tied into the guy in the cryo chamber in regards to trying to find the password and all that kind of stuff. So those are all the tales that you get here. There are some reasonably strong ones. I would probably say that my favourites were, I like the Kings one. I like They Will All Die in Space, and I liked Eden, and I quite liked Iris. So there were 4 tales there that I thought were pretty decent, and the others were a bit, I could take them or leave them. But there's no terrible ones. Sometimes you watch an anthology one and it's just like, some of them are just really poor. But there are no really terrible ones, but there are some that are considerably better than others. What I found interesting with this anthology piece was it was quite good in regards to the social commentary that it wanted to put in. You know, it had things like the Iris thing, the Siri, the flesh computer, the fact that, you know, we're moving more and more towards in that direction. The Eveless thing I thought was quite interesting. So the Entity one was quite profound in a sense of, I suppose you could look at that tale in a lot of different ways, the message it's trying to give, whether it's religious or what. But I think this one, in regards to an anthology tale, I get more of a social commentary than some that I watched previously. And I have to say that so far this is my second Little Terrors anthology series, and I'm a fan, and I don't know if they've got more out there, but I'm going to be looking for them, and I will definitely be reviewing them if I find more of them. And if there's any of you do know any more Little Terror anthology tales, please tell me about them and I'll try and find them. But this is one that I do recommend. It is certainly a decent one.